Ryan Christie's goal gave Scotland victory over Ireland and set them on track to win the Nations League division. Euro 2024 qualifying Group A. Scotland, Cyprus. Location Hampden Park, Glasgow. Date Saturday the 25th of March. Start 1400 GMT. Coverage live commentary on Radio Scotland. Live text on Sport website and app. Highlights 1 Scotland. The last time Scotland played Cyprus in Hampden, Eamon Brophy started ahead and Oliver Burke came off the bench to score a winning goal in the 89th minute. It was Steve Clarke's first game as manager, and it was a heart-stopping match in the great Hampden tradition. Cyprus will be back in Glasgow on Saturday, followed by Spain on Tuesday as the qualifying campaign for the Euro begins again. A lot has changed since Clarke's debut in June 2019, but a lot has changed since we last saw his team in a competitive match 6 months ago. The manager's new contract is on Friday. There was no VAR in domestic football back then. Only 2 points separated Celtic and Rangers. Livingston third. Giovanni van Bronckhorst was Ibrox's manager and Jim Goodwin doing pretty well in Aberdeen. After Scotland's stunning 3-0 win over Ukraine in September, well-deserved 2-1 win over the Republic of Ireland and a 0-0 draw against Ukraine in Krakow, that top trio feels like centuries since the headshot Nations League group. It's worth looking back at Clarke's whereabouts in hopes that what her players found then can now be replicated. The endurance they showed in these 3 matches was worth seeing. Before his 3-0 win against the Ukrainians, Clarke lost to captain Andy Robertson. 26 minutes later he lost to Nathan Patterson. Before the end Kieran Tierney was gone. It didn't matter at that point. Scotland were leading 2-0 and would soon be up to 3. That's against a side that had recently scored themselves a point in the World Cup playoffs in Hampden. Scotland knocked on Ukraine's door all night, but the door did not open. The patience and faith they showed was impressive. In the end, they got 1, then 2, then 3. Lyndon Dykes scored 2 goals in 13 minutes for QPR, more than he had scored in his previous 26 hours. Clarke and her players developed a problem-solving skill in September. 3 days after beating Ukraine, they were again without Robertson in the Ireland match. Craig Gordon, who awaited the birth of his son at the hospital one night, had not slept when he entered. Jack Hendry played just 97 minutes for 2 clubs in 2 different countries all season. Both were very important. Ireland took an early lead, after which Tierney was injured at half-time. Hendry's lack in the match was by no means seen. He was leveled. Then Aaron Hickey. It's almost time. Scotland was now without Robertson, Tierney, Patterson and Hickey at fullback. Anthony Ralston and Greg Taylor appeared, and Clarke's side began to win. Some of their football was really good, but most of all it was their perseverance. This win put them 1 point away from the top of the Nations League groups. To get it, they had go to Krakow play Ukraine. More stamina was required. Tierney and Scott McKenna failed. 3 of the back 4, starting in their 3-0 win at Hampden, were unavailable 6 days later. Clarke had missed half a dozen defenders for that trip. Scott McTominay was eliminated as he was suspended. There were no 10 frontline players. And that week a virus hit the camp. Yet they managed to keep a clean slate and get the point they needed. All these unavailable defenders in Scotland conceded a goal in 3 games. It was an extraordinary work in terms of perseverance and stamina. Scots must overcome difficulties, of course. The trouble came again. Despite his chronic lack of playing time, Hendry was out of the game after a tremendous performance in September. Nor is McKenna, a determined operator, in 2 of the 3 games. Now a new defender match is required. Some of Clarke's players had an alarming lack of minutes in their legs. Liam Cooper played February 5th. Billy Gilmore played 80 minutes this year. Tierney has not started the game. 27. Ryan Christie January 21st. Patterson been featured 3. These are the kinds of challenges they overcame as a team in September. If Clark's players can find that kind of courage in the coming days, they can start this campaign with a win against Cyprus and a point against Spain. One of the questions is which system Clark will deploy. He played 4 backs against Ireland and against Ukraine in both games. It didn't have Robertson and Tierney at the same time back then. But it does now. How does this change things? Is he abandoning a working system to make room for Robertson and Tierney? Or can he have both on the team while playing 4s in the back? 3 is usually his natural inclination. But is that the best way to go? Ilul doesn't suggest this. But trying to second-guess Clark about it is a cheating game. Only those in training know which of 3 goalkeepers is ahead of others. And same goes for defensive lineup. 3 or 4. How does Blackburn's Dom Hyam look? Is Porteous a shoe-in? What about old favorite Grant Hanley? This is all part of the buzz, and it doesn't start and end in the back. Clark's mainstay is in the midfield and Che Adams is up front. In September, Christie started 2 and came out of the bench at 1, and she did well. He's not playing for Bournemouth, but he's put in some strong performances as a substitute. Is that enough, or is it time to take a closer look at Lewis Ferguson? The midfielder is doing well with Bologna in Serie A. He scored his 4th league goal over the weekend, putting him ahead of Joe Jordan on the Scots Serie A goals list, still behind Hickey and halfway through catching Graham Souness. Dennis Law is still at the top by himself. Clark has injuries, but he also has options. Adams will definitely start from the front, but it's good to see Dykes doing well. He has scored only once since the end of October, but his unproductive runs with his club do not discourage him. The big man, who has recovered from a hopeless pneumonia experience, clearly enjoys wearing the Scotland jersey on his back. Popped for an exorbitant £90 for new 150th anniversary edition. It would be a nice touch if the Scottish players gifted their jerseys to fans after Cyprus game. Giving them a performance and 3 points would also be welcome.